This is a throwaway account, so no one can connect the dots back to me. I just need to vent and also get you guys' comments and opinions on how I handled this situation. I think I handled it the best way I could, but sometimes I do question if what I did was a bit extreme. I know that this is a long read, but believe me, it is definitely worth it. Alright, let me give you guys a bit of context. I'm 28 and female, and have been working as an interior designer at a well-known company. I live with my fiancé Josh and my younger sister Morgan, who just recently moved in with us because my parents kicked her out. So here's the thing about my younger sister. She's a very impulsive person, which leads her to make very irrational and irresponsible choices and decisions. I try my best to be understanding about her irresponsible behavior and normally blame it on her still being young. But my parents unfortunately got tired of her behavior and kicked her out. So now she lives with me and Josh, and it has not been easy because Josh and Morgan don't really get along. Morgan thinks Josh is boring and uptight, while Josh thinks Morgan is an immature, self-centered brat. But they do their best to respect each other for my sake. Me and Morgan have a strange, complicated relationship, and we're not really close, but we aren't distant siblings either. I just try my best to be there for her whenever she needs me because I believe that that's what an older sister does. But now I realize that I was just enabling her toxic, irresponsible behavior. Anyway, it's time to talk now about the current day. Right? I have been called in for a meeting with my boss and supervisor. I'm a super nervous person because I have no idea why I'm being called in. I get to the boardroom and knock on the door. I hear my supervisor say, come in, and I entered the room. So I take a seat opposite to them and give them a little bit of a smile. They greet me and I greet them back, and my boss proceeds to say that she does not want to keep me away from my client for too long, but she just wanted to inform me that I'm being promoted from junior designer to senior designer. Well, my face immediately just lights up, because this is exactly what I've been working hard for. My supervisor adds that she feels that I truly deserve this promotion simply because all of my hard work and extra overtime that I put in, even on weekends. So I thank them, tell them that I'm thankful for this promotion, and promise that I will not disappoint them. My boss smiles at me and tells me that she will email me my new contract before the end of the day so that I can go over and hand it to the human resources tomorrow. After an exciting day at work, I get home and find both Josh and Morgan. I tell them that I have exciting news to share, and Josh asks me what happened. Morgan just looks at me. I tell them about my promotion at work, and Josh rushes over to give me a hug, while also congratulating me. Morgan gives me a small little smile and says, "Congratulations," but immediately continues with whatever she was doing on her phone afterwards, and I simply ignore her and tell myself that she's probably feeling a bit, jealous? Probably. Why else would she do that? Because she recently got fired from her job. So, me getting a promotion might be making her feel a bit bad. Josh suggests that we go out to celebrate my promotion, and I agree with him. Morgan immediately gets up and says that this is an amazing idea and we should give her 30 minutes to get ready. Josh frowns and rolls his eyes, and as soon as she's out of earshot, he tells me that he wants it to be just me and him. I tell him that I appreciate the sweet gesture and ask him to please let this slide just for once. I add that Morgan probably needs the fresh air because she's always cooped up inside the house. He makes a snarky comment that she would not have to always be indoors if she just got a job, like a responsible adult, and stop leeching off of me. I ask him to please be nice and just allow her to come tonight. He sulks for a moment but eventually agrees, and yeah, this is what I deal with when it comes to Josh and Morgan. And them living together under one roof does not make things any better. Anyways, we go get ready and then go out to my favorite restaurant for my celebratory dinner. While we're having dinner, I decide to tell Josh and Morgan that with this promotion I can actually get the car that I've been eyeing. Morgan raises her eyebrow at me and proceeds to ask, "Why do I want a new car when I already have one that is still in excellent condition?" The car she's talking about is the Tesla that my parents bought for me as my graduation gift. It's still in good condition, but I have been wanting to upgrade it for a while now. Josh tells me that I should definitely consider it because I hardly spoil myself. And this would be the best way to spoil myself. Morgan takes a sip from her glass of wine and proceeds to tell me that she's super proud of me and that she hopes that one day she'll be as successful as I am. I smile at her and tell her that she's destined for greatness and that she should never forget that. She then asks me if I have told our parents about the promotion, and I tell her that I have not. She quickly takes out her phone and video calls them, which I find to be a bit strange, because we could have called them at home. My mother answers the call, and Morgan announces to her that I got promoted. My mother smiles and says congratulations to me, so I thank her. My mother then calls my father over and tells him the good news, and he also congratulates me. He makes a comment saying, "If only your sister could be more like you." Morgan rolls her eyes, and she proceeds to tell them that I'm considering selling the Tesla they got me for graduation because I want a new vehicle. I raise my eyebrows because I'm confused why she's mentioning this to our parents. It almost feels like she's actually trying to just snitch on me. I mean, what? But she's doing it in some weird manner. I mean, yes, my parents bought the Tesla for me, but it was in my name, you know. And they told me that I could do anything I wanted in regards to the car. If only I had known that this was a low-key part of her master plan. But like I always do, I just let everything slide. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I do have multiple update sections for you guys today, and, well, it's going to be a few days since the OP received the promotion in update number 1. If you guys are new to the channel, click that subscribe button, and let's jump into update number 1. It's actually been a few days since I received the promotion at work. I'm in my office busy looking at cars because I've decided that I'm going to buy myself a new vehicle. The receptionist knocks on my door and comes into the office just to tell me that a lady's claiming to be my sister at the reception. I tell her to let her in. Morgan has never visited me before at work. Well, so I wonder what's going on. Morgan walks into my office with a huge smile on her face and she greets me and I greet her back. I ask her what brings her by, and she tells me that she wanted to surprise me and take me out for lunch. And she continues to tell me that it has actually been a while since we had a little sister bonding time, and it's hard to have such quality time with Josh around. Well, I agree, and I say, okay, let's go out for dinner then. Well, we head over to a nearby cafe, and once we're seated and looking through the menu, she proceeds to ask me what my plans for the Tesla are. I tell her that I do plan on selling it once I get a new car. She then asks me why I don't just give her the Tesla. Give her the Tesla? I cough a little bit and raise my eyebrows at her. She goes on and on about how she's been wanting her own car, but our parents did not want to get her one. She also says that having her own car will make life so much easier for her, especially when she gets a job. I then tell her that I find it weird that she wants me to give her my Tesla when she doesn't even have a license. She gives me a cold stare before telling me that she will get her license. I shake my head and remind her that she's been singing the same tune for the past 6 years and still does not have a license. I also tell her that I want to sell the Tesla so that I can add that money to my savings because Josh and I do plan on buying a new house after the wedding. She frowns and tells me to stop being selfish. I ask her, how am I being selfish? She proceeds to say that I'm being inconsiderate because I know how much she needs a car. Yet I would rather sell my car to a complete stranger instead of helping her out. I tell her that I'm not going to just give her my car when she doesn't even have a license. I also tell her that she's being selfish by not understanding that me and Josh really want to buy a house. We eat our lunch in silence, and when it comes time to pay for the bill, she tells me that she forgot her purse. I groan and pay the bill, even though it was her idea for us to go to lunch in the first place. As we walk out of the cafe, she continues to nag me about giving her the Tesla. I tell her that I'm not changing my mind and that she should just forget about it. A few weeks have passed since we had that lunch, and Morgan has not stopped nagging to me about giving her the Tesla. And every time I say no, she throws a childish tantrum. Anyways, I finally bought a new car, and I'm so happy. When I bought the car home, Josh was the only one happy for me. Morgan just smiled at me and went to her room. It's actually been a few days since I've bought my new car, and I've invited my parents over for a dinner. While we were eating, my father tells me that he really likes the color that I chose for my car. As I'm about to respond to him, Morgan cuts me off by bringing up the fact that I do not want to give her my Tesla. She proceeds to tell my parents that due to my selfishness in not giving her my old car, job hunting has been really slow, and because she isn't able to go to interviews that are out of town or long distance. My parents just look at her and shake their heads. My mother tells Morgan that if she had completed her course at college instead of dropping out because she felt that college was, quote, too hard, then they would have gotten her a car for graduation. Morgan frowned and said it's unfair, as I've always been their favorite, and they don't love her as much as they do. My father then adds that it's not my responsibility to give Morgan anything, and that Morgan should be grateful that I even took her in when they kicked her out. Morgan gets up and walks away from the dining table as I'm about to go up to follow her. My mother tells me not to follow her because by going to comfort her, all I'm doing is enabling her entitled behavior. Well, I listen to my mom, but I can't just help to feel a bit bad for my sister. Update number 2. Hey guys, remember how I mentioned that I would let everything slide with my sister? Well, everything came back to absolutely stab me in the back. And she was the one holding the knife? It has been a month since I bought my car, and I have not yet sold the Tesla, so it's just been in the garage. But I'm in no rush to sell it since no one's using it. I received a call, and it's from the traffic department. The guy tells me that he's from there, and he informs me that I have an outstanding speeding ticket. Speeding ticket? I've never received a ticket for speeding. I proceed to tell him that he must be making a mistake, and he then tells me my Tesla's number of plate and registration, and he adds that they had sent the outstanding tickets to my postal address. Now, that's really weird. I always checked my mail and never saw anything from the traffic department. He continues to tell me that I should settle this outstanding balance ASAP. Well, I asked him if he could please email me the documents that they mailed to me. The call ends, and after about an hour, I finally receive the email from the traffic department. I open up the emails and immediately notice that these speeding fines were all obtained during this month, and only this month. How is that even possible, I wonder? I don't even drive my Tesla anymore, and Josh has his own car. He would have told me if he had used the Tesla. The only other person I could think of is Morgan. The hairs on the back of my neck immediately stood up, and now she would not do that to me. She would not betray my trust and abuse my kindness like that. I start feeling overwhelmed and anxious, and I decided to tell my supervisor that I'm not feeling well and that I'm going to get to go head home. Luckily, she believed me, because I hardly ever take half days or leave early, and I head on home. I arrive home. I open the garage only to find my Tesla is gone. I rush inside, panicking, calling Josh. He answers the phone call, and I'm frantically crying at that point, where he can't even hear what I'm saying. He tells me to try to calm down and then asks me where I'm at. I stutter that I'm at the house, and he tells me that he's on his way. I try my best to calm myself down, and while waiting for Josh to get home, I look around the house, hoping that maybe Morgan is around and she's just sleeping, only to not find her in the room or anywhere in the house. I'm trying my absolute best not to go and jump to conclusions, because there's no direct concrete evidence pointing to Morgan. Eventually, Josh arrives and he gives me a huge hug. I explain everything to him and he does not say a word. I tell him that I'm going to report my vehicle stolen and he tells me not to do so. I look at him confused and ask him why I should not report it, and he does a heavy sigh, takes out his phone and he hands over his phone to me, and there's a video. I watched the video and I almost dropped the phone out of shock because of what I just watched. My hands are shaking with anger at this point, and all I wanted to do was scream. The video that I just watched on Josh's phone was of Morgan and her bad influence best friend Jessica driving my Tesla. But the worst part is that they're drinking alcohol while driving. I can't believe she would do something so irresponsible as to drive under the influence. I say that I can't believe that she would do something so irresponsible and dangerous. Josh shakes his head and says that this does not surprise him at all, because this is typical Morgan behavior. While he's busy bad-mouthing Morgan, I try my absolute best to calm myself down and think about how I'm going to handle this whole situation. Well, a plan pops up into my mind, and I pop off a smirk. I tell Josh that we're going to act like we know absolutely nothing and that we're going to play stupid for now. Josh raises his eyebrows at me and asks me what I've planned. I tell him that he has to wait and see, but for now he's going to drive back for a while and I go get some fresh air. I tell him that we better hurry up and leave before Morgan gets here. He shrugs his shoulders and we both head out, making it look like we were never home. I'm not a person who engages in revenge, but this time Morgan has really pushed me too far, and she definitely needs to be taught a lesson. Update number 3. It's been 2 weeks since I found out about Morgan secretly using my old car. I have not confronted her about it, and I told Josh not to mention a single word to her about anything. A week ago, I took the Tesla to go get a tracker installed, which I did not mention to Morgan. Luckily, she was out with her best friend that day and did not even notice that I've taken the Tesla out. Even though it's been extremely hard, I've been treating her the way that I normally do, so I know she is not suspecting anything, and she still thinks that I do not know a thing. One afternoon, I'm busy at work when I receive a notification from the tracking company that my car is leaving the premises, meaning that Morgan's taking the car out of the garage, so I wait for about 20 minutes and then proceed to call the tracking company. I tell them that I would like to report my vehicle stolen, and they inform me that they will use the GPS location on the tracker just to track the car down and give the location to the police to arrest the guilty suspect and retrieve the vehicle. I smirk and thank them, and then call Josh and explain my plan of revenge. After I finish explaining everything to him, he tells me that he is 100% behind me. After about an hour, the tracking company calls me just to inform me that my vehicle has been found and that the guilty suspect has been arrested and is being taken to the prison to be questioned. I thank them and ask them to please meet me at my house. I head to the house and retrieve my, quote, stolen car. They tell me that the police will be calling soon to ask me how I would like this case to be handled and whether I would be pressing charges. After explaining that to me, they leave. A few hours pass by and me and Josh are watching TV when I receive a call from an unknown number. I answer and it's Morgan calling from the police station. I ask what's going on and why she's at the police station, and she proceeds to tell me that she was driving my car and she got stopped by the police because the vehicle had been reported stolen by the owner through the tracking company. She continues to explain that she tried explaining to the officer that there must be a bit of a misunderstanding, but he did not want to listen to her. So now she's been stuck at the station for hours being questioned, and I tried to hold back my laughter and joy, but I can't help but let a little giggle out. She asks me what's so funny. I tell her nothing. She then tells me that I need to bail her out, and I laugh and tell her that I am not going to bail her out. She asks why the hell not, and I tell her that I don't have any money to bail her out with. She tells me to stop fooling around. So, I tell her that she should call our parents and try to convince them to bail her out because I'm not bailing out a liar. Before she can even respond, I hang up the phone. Later that night, there was a knock at my door. Josh answers it, and it's Morgan and our parents, and they come in. And we all take a seat in the living room, and my father asks me why I did not bail Morgan out. I tell him that I could not bail out someone who betrayed my trust. He looks at me, confused. I look Morgan directly in the eyes and tell her that she should tell our parents what she did. She rolls her eyes and tells me that I'm just overreacting and that I took this too far. Too far? I stand up and yell that she's such an irresponsible brat with no sense of responsibility, and she tells me that I am an uptight cow who thinks the whole world revolves around me when it clearly doesn't. My father starts to yell that we should calm down and explain to them what the hell's going on. I tell them that their devil of a daughter was using my car without permission, and to make matters worse, she was busy accumulating speeding tickets under my name since the car's registered under me. Morgan just rolls her eyes and says it's not like I can't afford to pay those fines. I yell at her to shut up. She gives me an ice cold stare and tells me to shut the hell up before she slaps me. I tell her that if she lays a hand on me, I will not hesitate to send her back to the police station. I then proceed to tell our parents that not only was Morgan accumulating speeding points, but that she posted a video of her and her bestie drinking alcohol while driving. My mother gasps in shock and glares at Morgan. She yells at her, and I knew this would make my mother so mad because she lost a close friend to drunk driving. The sad part about this is that Morgan saw how broken our mother was when this took place. And as a family, we were promised that we would never drive under the influence of alcohol. Morgan proceeds to say that she does not understand what the big deal is, since clearly nothing happened to her while she was drinking and driving. I just shook my head and looked at her with absolute disappointment. I say to her that I finally can understand, why our parents kicked her out and why they hardly feel sorry for her. It's because of her self-centered attitude. She frowns and says, not everyone can be the perfect daughter like you. I tell her that there's a difference between being a perfect daughter and being responsible. I tell her that I'm not perfect, but I'm very responsible, especially when it comes to my own actions that I can control. She tells me to shut up again. She doesn't need another lecture. I'm honestly getting so annoyed with her stupid attitude, and I tell her that the only reason I reported my car stolen and got her arrested was so that I could teach her a lesson that she would never forget. So I tell her that if she does not pay off the outstanding balance from the speeding tickets that she got, I will be pressing charges against her and turn this into a serious criminal case. She looks at me in shock, and I tell her that I'm being dead serious, and if she thinks I'm joking, then she's in for a rude awakening. She tries to protest, but she's unable to find the words. She sighs deeply and starts pleading for forgiveness. I shake my head and tell her that I will only forgive her once she learns to stop being irresponsible and take responsibility for her actions. I then tell her that she has until tomorrow to find a new place to stay, because I no longer want to live, with me and Josh. She yells at me to stop being irrational and asks where she's going to go. So I tell her that she should have thought about that before deciding to betray my trust and simply take advantage of my kindness. She calls me a selfish pig and tells me that she does not need me and that by tomorrow morning she will be out of this ugly house. She goes to her room and slams the door, and I honestly just thought that this whole experience would have taught her a lesson and made her realize that actions have consequences, but it seems like she doesn't understand that. Update number 4. Guys, this is a short one. A few months have passed since that day. Morgan managed to pay off the speeding fine, so I decided not to press charges against her. I have not spoken to her since that day she moved out of my house, and my parents decided to send her to go live with our grandmother, who stays out of state. Apparently, she's slowly learning a bit of responsibility and not so impulsive. But I'll believe it when I see it. Which won't be anytime soon. I mean, she never really apologized to me. And that still hurts me, so I'm just taking each day as it comes. I'm hoping that one day I'll forgive her and that we can have a real sisterly relationship without all the toxic behavior and manipulation. I sometimes wonder if my so-called revenge plan was even worth executing, because it only made me feel good and happy for a moment. But I feel like it did more harm than good. Maybe revenge is not always sweet, as they say.
Thank goodness OP's sister was finally put into her place. I mean, she's irresponsible and she just thinks that people are entitled to give her stuff. But I have to say, the part of the story that really tilted me was the fact that they were caught drunk driving, OP's sister and her friend. And it just goes to show, like, what were you thinking? Yeah, it might be a Tesla, it might drive itself, but I doubt they were even in that mode. And besides, it's still illegal to consume alcohol in a vehicle. And besides that, the craziest part about this story was the fact that OP's mother's best friend passed away from a drunk driving incident, and they made a pact as a family to never ever do it. And OP's sister shattered that trust, and we know how the story went on from there, but luckily, it seemed towards the end of the story, OP's sister was starting to recollect a bit of common sense, and she was off with the grandmother trying to get her life together. I want to know what you guys think about this story. Drop it in the comment section down below. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every single day. By the way, guys, there's a new channel, Mr. Reddito's Revenge. It's all about revenge and karma stories, so make sure you check that out for daily videos as well. There's already over 100 Reddito stories on that channel, so go check it out. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!